political issue.
It is a political issue, but I believe it will die out. Of course, we have the Muslim Brotherhood enlarging this, and whenever anything small happens, they keep blowing it up as if Egypt is completely not safe. But we find the number of visitors, the officials coming, the life is going on in Egypt. And for this reason, I must stress that the Egyptians must do what is expected from this, to keep normal life going as they have been accustomed to do it. We should not really take note of these incidents and retreat from the normal life. This would be the worst signal. That
I don't think, judging by the way the streets are busy, I don't see people retreating.
Exactly.
Your Excellency, before we wrap up, you just mentioned something very important, which is solidarity.
Yes.
And here I will hammer on not international solidarity as much as Arab solidarity. Indeed, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait have been very supportive of Egypt as of late, and even the initiative of the summit was an initiative that was raised by the late King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. But how can we ensure that within the Arab framework, this summit materializes into something more than just talk? Because we all know each other's needs, and right now uniting politically and economically, I think it's a matter of national security for all of us.
Absolutely. I think after talks there will be agreements, and after agreements there will be things to be done, and I believe that this will happen. The Arab countries know now that it is only the Egyptian army which is one piece in the whole area. If this, God forbid, falls down, then the whole area will go in turmoil. So I think the Arabs are aware of this, especially in these days when you have Daesh in the north and you have Yemen with the Houthis, etc. So this point, I think, is appreciated by the Arabs. We should not try to play on it much. And also the Arabs know that the history of Egypt was supportive of the security of the whole Arab countries in the best way. In fact, Egypt did not get the price that it should have asked for in the previous days of crisis. But by solidarity, I mean solidarity inside Egypt. People must stand firm behind the leadership, the political leadership, and behind the armed forces.
Continue to stand, because people are really standing, but
they are standing
at very tough times.
Yeah, but you hear a lot of criticism and ideas, etc., etc.
Some have to rock the boat, or try to rock the boat.
It's not rocking the boat. Look, I can criticize you in your work here, say, look, your program is this or that. But I cannot criticize someone standing in Sinai and feeling that if he does something wrong, he will lose his life. He must be doing his best to protect himself, even if the whole country is not with him. So it's not a matter of rocking the boat, but we have to really show that we are behind them. Things have filled us with grief and sorrow and disappointment, etc. But we must say, look, we are still behind you.
Yes.
We know that you are doing your best, things are being difficult, and we are behind you. But if we start criticizing and saying you should have done this, you should have done that, and everyone is saying this while he's sitting in...
it's easier it's easier said than done.
And this can create a negative spirit which is not needed these days. And this is what is wanted by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Which is why I'm saying some people want to rock the boat.
Absolutely, yeah.
Your Excellency, unfortunately our time is up. Thank you very much for your fruitful input.
Thank you.
As we talk of terrorism, a question that raises itself: why is it that we don't hear international human rights organization criticizing what's taking place in Sinai, what's taking place in Yemen, what Daesh is doing, what Daesh did when it went as far as burning a person alive, something which is humanly unacceptable under all walks of life, under all religions, yet we don't see that criticism by human rights. Why? Right after this, so please stay with us.
The barbaric execution of the Jordanian pilot Mu'azz al-Kasasbi by the terrorist Daesh group and the terrorist assassination of over 30 Egyptian soldiers in the north of Sinai last month are yet additional proof of the viciousness of the war waged against the civilized world at large. The UN Security Council had issued a statement on the 30th of January strongly condemning the terrorist attacks and reaffirmed that terrorism in all its forms and manifestations constitute one of the most serious threats to international peace and security, and that any acts of terrorism are criminal and unjustifiable regardless of their motivation, wherever and whenever and by whomsoever it is committed. In its statement, the Council underlined the need to bring perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors of this terrorist attack to justice, and urged all states, in accordance with their obligations under international law and relevant Security Council resolutions, to cooperate actively with the Egyptian government in this regard. But is the international organization serious about the statements it issues? Many reports have pinpointed specific states as supporters and financiers of terrorism, yet nothing has been done to stop such evil designs. Pictures that have circulated the social media have revealed stationed Turkish troops with their backs to Daesh terrorists, with their flag hoisted on a hill in sight. The Turkish President Erdogan has been busy attacking the Egyptian judiciary for its sentences of terrorists on charges of brutally slaying Egyptians, along as his incessant support of the terrorist Brotherhood organization, while his country provides safe haven for terrorist leaders as well as their media outlets, constantly instigating violence against this country and others, amounting to a violation of the UN Charter and international law. Egypt's foreign ministry has summoned the Turkish charge d'affaires in Cairo on Wednesday to protest against his ministry's statement commenting on the sentence, describing their interference as revolting and intolerable for the falsehoods and fantasies it contains. The foreign ministry spokesman asserted that the international community has voiced its accusations of the Turkish regime for consistent and systematic violation of human rights, the detention of journalists without due process, corruption scandals, influencing judicial independence, and attacking peaceful protesters. Another country that had committed in the last Gulf Cooperation Council to support the current legitimate government in Egypt and stop incitement has reneged on its commitment immediately after the late Saudi King Abdullah passed away, and that country, notably Qatar, resumed its aggression through its state-funded media outlet Al Jazeera that continuously fakes reports to incite violence and convey twisted information, not to mention their coincidental presence and coverage of terrorist attacks as they happen and wherever they take place in Egypt. The question that poses itself once more is the degree of seriousness and will of the international community and the US-led coalition to combat terrorism. Is there a real war to annihilate this phenomenon, or is it a war of convenience?
Welcome back. We're joined in the studio by Major General Hamdi Preet, who is a military and strategic expert. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll take it from where our report ended. Is the international community seriously aware that the wave of terrorism, which some are funding and supporting, will not only burn this part of the world, but if it starts here initially, it will engulf the whole world. Do we realize that this is serious?
I think I would appreciate this question because we need to analyze what had happened since 2011 till now. There were three strategies, one after one swept the area. Number one was through the what they called the spring revolutions, or what they said,
Arab Spring
revolutions, and when this strategy failed, to turn the area into a kind of big mess they wanted it to be, they started trying another strategy. That is to come with an organization like the Muslim Brotherhood to control these countries and assess for this strategy to turn the area into the same big mess. And see what had happened from the Muslim Brotherhood. They were ready to sell Sinai and sell Shalatin and Halayb and whatever, what they did in Libya and Tunisia. It was a big crime to turn this area into what we are seeing now. Let's go to the third strategy, to use the terrorism contractors. Just these countries, especially the United States, is paying to these contractors like Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and Karim Belhag in Libya, and many like the leaders of Hamas and the leaders of another organization of the Muslim Brotherhood.
When you talk about terrorism contractors, those who mobilize.
They are mobilized. This is one of their strategy, to mobilize or to turn any area into fighting, killing, bloodshed.
A battlefield.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how to turn this area into. They tried 3 strategies. Now we are in the third stage. Terrorism contractors. Now, this terrorism has been reflected on, for example, the northern part or the northern coast of the Mediterranean. And what had happened in France and Belgium and other countries shows us how precisely what Egypt expected, that the reflection of this terrorism gangs and contractors will reflect their work, their business, their own spread over into wherever. They don't have any limits. They don't have any borders. They don't know any kind of limitations. They spread anywhere just to assess for a strategy of terrorism. Let's go further. What had happened in France to face terrorism? I think this would show us that they are very destructive. They are very desperate to control these operations by a very decisive decision. There were 3 decisive decisions. One of them against those who are committed to terrorism, and this is 7 years in jail. And the other one, those who are passionate with terrorism, just passionate, and right.